Welcome student to the program of Bachelor of Science in Botany, Semester 5, course code BOC 107, and the course title is Microbiology and Plant Pathology. I am Miss Vijayalakshmi Kumbar, Assistant Professor of Government College of Capem, Goa. So the title of Unit 7 is Pathogen Attack and Defense Mechanisms. Module name is Structural Defense Mechanisms in Plants that are pre-existing and induced. Outline, introduction, different types of defense mechanisms and structural defense mechanisms in plants. Learning outcomes, it recalls the different types of structural defense mechanisms and it describes the different types of structural defense mechanisms. So first we'll look at the introductions. As we know that plants, they are affected by different kinds of pathogens, that is fungi, bacteria, viruses. So many plants, they survive this attack of pathogen to the lesser or greater extent to the process of defense mechanisms. And these plants, they will grow well and produce sufficiently good yields through the defense mechanisms. So what is defense mechanism? It is the attributes of the host that reduce the chance of infection or the development of the pathogen. So we look at the types of the defense mechanisms. There are two types, that is structural and biochemical or physiological defense mechanisms. So each one of these types, they may be further divided into two types, that is pre-existing, that means naturally present in the plants, or they can be induced, means these defenses, they are produced as a result of irritation of the host by the pathogen. So what are structural defense mechanisms? The plant surface, it is the first line of defense. So the surface of the plant, they contain structural features of epidermis or its interior which may affect the penetration of the pathogens. But once the pathogen, it has gained entry through these epidermal cell walls or natural openings, wounds, the further spread, it is relatively easy. Pre-existing defense structures. Some structural defenses, they are present in the plants even before the pathogen comes in contact with the plant. So as we know that the surface of the plant, it acts as the first line of defense against the pathogen. So the pathogen must first adhere to and penetrate to the surface to cause infection. So these are the pre-existing defense structures, that is waxy layer, cuticle and structures of natural openings. The cuticle, it contains the cutin and wax which forms the outer layer of the epidermal cells. So the wax layer, due to this, the water is retained and makes the reproduction of the conidia and the spores difficult. And due to the presence of thick cuticle and the cutin, they act as the barrier for the entry of the pathogen into the cells. Structures of natural openings, they may be stomata or the lenticels. Some pathogens, they enter only through the open stomata. For example, wheat rust. The structure of the lenticels, that is small structure, it will make the host or it will block the entrance of the host into the cell. Defense structures formed in response to infection by pathogen. Despite of these pre-existing defense structures, what we saw, most of the pathogens, they manage to penetrate their host through wounds and natural openings. But plants, they will form the second level of defenses. They will produce various structures in response to the infection and prevent the further progress of the pathogen. So the following are the major induced defense structures, that is formation of cork layer, formation of tyloses, formation of abscission layer, cell wall defense structures, deposition of gums, necrotic defense. So cell wall defense structures such as the parenchyma cells present in the cell, they will swell and they will protrude around the pathogen and they will prevent the pathogen. The outer layer of the cell wall of parenchyma cells, they come in contact with the incompatible bacteria and they will swell and produce amorphous fibrils. So these amorphous fibrils, they will trap the bacteria and prevent them from multiplying. Then the cell wall, that is cellulosic material, it will produce lignin and salicylic material. Deposition of gum when the cells or when the host is infected by the pathogen, the gum will be deposited on the intercells of the host. This will check the entry of the pathogen into the xylem vessels or maybe further cells. Necrotic defense: when the pathogen enters into the cells, the cell of the host or the nucleus of the host, it will start protruding towards the invading pathogen. When this happens, resin-like granules will be formed in the cytoplasm, and these resin-like granules, they will cause necrosis and disintegrate the invading hyphae. We can see the formation of cochlears on the potato tuber, which will check the entry of the pathogen, that is fungi or bacteria, into the inner cells. It will also check the entry of the or passing the nutrients and food material to the pathogen, which will make the pathogen die off. Then next is development of tylosis in xylem vessels. When these pathogens, they are found in the vessels, this parenchyma cells, that is xylem parenchyma, they will protrude into a bulbous structure. The cytoplasm, it will protrude into a bulbous structure, and the xylem vessels, they will be clogged and the wilting of the infected region will take place. Then formation of abscission layer. As the cell, it contains the middle lamella. Okay, the middle lamella of the cell, it will start disintegrating, making the cell thin and unsupported. So when this process continues, the cell cut off along with the infected region, making the cell. So middle lamella, it will form the thinning of the cells, and the cells will cut off along with the invading pathogen. So these were the barriers, they were caused by the infection of the pathogens. These are the references. Thank you.